Farm for Profit Podcast. Take a listen, have a blast. Farm for Profit Podcast. Learn about farming while having a laugh. Farm for Profit Podcast.
And listeners, welcome back to the Farm for Profit Podcast. This is Tanner.
This is Corey.
And,
What?
yeah,
What do you got?
I had too many thoughts in my mind. I was still going back to what I said earlier about getting distracted watching an old lady fall down.
Then you just got distracted by, I don't know what you got distracted by.
Right.
I was thinking about the old lady falling down.
Yeah.
That was
Okay.
it was comedic routine going through my head. No, listeners, thank you so much. We say it every single time. It is sincere. If you can see us, if you can't see us right now, that means you haven't found us on YouTube
Or Spotify.
or Spotify. Boy, I do appreciate you guys on Spotify because we had a mistake a couple weeks ago.
We did.
Where the video that went up to Spotify was 22 minutes too short.
Right.
And
we
without
had
you-
And we had a mistake this morning.
Well, they didn't even know that was a mistake. But without you as the listeners, we wouldn't have known that Spotify had a short video and the full
Right,
video was up on YouTube. So we truly appreciate those listeners that give us 3 or 4 listens on every show.
Yeah.
Do you think that's really the case?
No,
Do you think someone listens a lot?
probably not multiple, but I mean, we just, if something's off, I love it that someone texts us.
Yeah.
Or you can send a text to 515-207-9640. If you don't have one of our numbers, we'll get it there and we'll get it fixed right away.
So does that make us real or does that make us careless?
I think it makes us human.
Okay.
I mean,
We're allowed to
because
make
literally,
mistakes.
so like we have a process that you send me the show, I review it.
Mhm.
I reviewed the whole show. I didn't know you were going to cut it off at 50 minutes.
I didn't cut it off on 50 minutes. What happened is I was uploading it while on my hotspot and my phone died. So I looked at the
That's what
computer, and the computer said,
Done.
"Yep, download complete."
Okay.
Well, it just quit when the Wi-Fi shut off.
Mm.
What a problem.
It is.
Who'd
Well,
have thought we'd be having problems like this?
I don't know. There's always a problem, though.
There is. And we're probably going to address some of those, or at least a little bit of working through problems that a lot of farmers and ranchers have. Excited for this conversation today. Remember, if you've got topics, ideas, or people we should talk to, make sure you reach out. But happy to introduce to you today Jesse Steffensmeier. He comes to us with a really cool, I'm going to call it an idea. But you're going to take it beyond that for us because you've put the idea into motion. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
The farmer's greatest asset. That's what
Correct.
you are?
The farmers. Well, yes. Essentially, yes.
Are we talking OnlyFans pages here? or no?
Just because that's your greatest asset.
Yeah, right?
I would say he's a very handsome guy. Look at him in his vest and his cowboy hat here. You could do that.
Right. I don't know about that. But
So tell us a little bit about where you're from and what you do for a living.
so from West Point, Iowa, which is far southeast Iowa, row crops and cattle. We actually raise Wagyu cattle. So
Why is it not sitting in front of us?
Should have brought it. We told our listeners charcuterie boards need to have more steak on them.
Yeah.
right?
Or just a beef steak.
I'm going to blame that on Rachel.
Okay.
Rachel should have told me to bring something.
Rachel.
So we raise American Wagyu cattle, actually. So yeah, row crops and cattle.
And where at, you said?
West Point. So it's far southeast Iowa.
Far southeast. Have you always grown up in Iowa?
Grew up there. Yep.
Farmers, you do it all. So should your technology. Level up your equipment with the latest innovations from Ag Leader.
From sure force downforce control and sure speed high accuracy planting to right spot individual nozzle control, Ag Leader has you covered.
And now, with the new In Command Go displays, you get unparalleled visibility and control, keeping critical information at your fingertips. Upgrade today and reap the benefits this season.
Visit agleader.com or contact your local Ag Leader dealer to get started.
You know, we've talked about Wagyu a lot, but I don't know if I ever have this vision of when I picture Black Angus, I picture this Black Angus. When I Red Angus, when I picture a Holstein, I see that.
Mm-hmm.
What does a Wagyu cattle look like?
So we actually use Akaushi bulls. So a purebred
Agushi?
Akaushi. A purebred Akaushi bull, which is a breed of Wagyu.
Okay.
And then we breed those on commercial black cows. But a Wagyu, they're very skinny hipped and funny looking horns.
Really?
They're kind of goofy. Yeah.
Don't look at the computer. How do you spell Akahushi?
Oh my god! It starts with an A,
700
I
plus,
think.
right? Yeah, you got a good start.
A-U?
AKA.
Ah.
AKA-USHI.
Yep.
So bring it up. I want to see this thing.
Yakuushi.
Big old necked, shouldered.
Red? Are they red normally?
Yep.
Okay, there's some.
So they're the red Wagyus.
Okay, so are they? Or would these be considered full blood?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Akaushi is a breed of Wagyu. Wagyu is a breed, right? So they tell me in Japanese, Wagyu means black cattle.
Really?
So, and
But
then
these are red.
Akaushis are a Wagyu breed, but they're red.
Got it.
Yep.
So Wagyu is the breed, or is it's the meat?
It's the breed.
Okay.
Yep. So when we cross the Wagyu with a commercial cow, we get American Wagyu. So they put on the interstitial fat quicker than anything. So,
Okay.
Is that like what we do to Americanize food? When you take an actual Akahushi bull and you breed it to a commercial cow, you just get American Wagyu. It's like, this is not quite
We just make it better.
French fries.
we just made it better.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. You get that big hearty steak, but you get that good marbling and the good tenderness out of the Akaushi.
And how long have you been doing Wagyu?
We've been doing that 7-8 years. So we actually have our own little retail store, online store. So that is MidwestWagyuBeef.com.
Did that just get spurred from? I imagine you were doing cattle before that.
Yeah, we were. We've always had a few cows. I have 50 cows, but then we feed cattle out. So we'll feed 400 to 500 head of cattle out, and then 8-9 years ago, a buddy of mine kind of ran into these Akaushis, so then we used them. So when we breed a Wagyu bull to a commercial cow, we're grading our cattle as fat cattle. 75% of them are grading prime or better.
Wow.
Industry standard is 7 to 12%.
Wow.
Really?
Right. So that alone, we're increasing our premium on the cut.
Okay.
So
So you're not necessarily marketing like besides your store, but if you go to regular market, you're just getting better because it's prime.
I can sell them commercially and just sell them on the grid, and then my premium's that much better.
Okay.
Because 75% of my cattle are grading premium or prime.
Right.
But then I've got other Wagyu buyers and stuff. I mean, we send cattle across the country. I mean, live cattle I'll send to California.
Right.
And they get butchered out there and then go overseas from there. So, but yeah.
Just don't have any in studio.
I will send you each a package.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Look at this. Now I'm going to make your mouth
Oh, now
water.
you're making me hungry.
Uh-oh, do you find our website?
I didn't find yours. I mean, I can find yours. I clicked on Wagyu, just pictures from Google Images, and one popped up.
What is the website? You should pull it up.
I'll pull it up.
Midwest Wagyu Beef.
I was just looking at the
.com.
difference in cuts. This is a way to show the marbling difference as you get through the different grades.
Did you know that I judged meat once or twice?
No.
At Iowa State. Yep.
Do I want to know? Is this like a fraternity gag?
No,
that you had?
no, no, I legit did. Had the white coat on and everything. The Iowa State Meat Labs hat. Like it was a class.
So it was a
Okay.
Halloween
Got to go
costume.
do.
Yeah.
It was very interesting. It was fun. You know, the Iowa State Meat Labs hat is very prestigious to get one of those. The red bill, white hat.
It's like the John Deere Classic turf hat that we
Kinda.
tried getting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we
Tried.
Never, yeah, we
So
never
you didn't
got
get one.
No. There it is. Oh, you got to put in.
Gotta
We
put my
probably have one of
information
those
in.
too.
Good. All right. So that's good to learn a little bit about your background and the family heritage that you've been in cattle. So is it just a cattle operation? You got row crops too?
Row crops, yep. Corn and soybeans.
Okay.
Yep. So
So you guys, are you close to the river? Do you guys go to?
we're about 30 miles from the Mississippi. Yeah.
So do you truck stuff there?
Oh, yeah. So we have an ethanol plant that's basically on the river. So, yeah, we have a couple river terminals, ethanol plant, and then ADM in Quincy is 70 miles too. So we have a lot of good end users.
Yep.
We have a big feed mill too, 2 miles down the road. So,
Wow. I'm jealous.
well,
I mean, we just have I'm happy that we have ethanol, but that's about all we have.
our basis is always bad.
Really?
Oh, we have a pile of corn. Yeah, our basis is
Yeah,
terrible.
you did. You guys did grow too much corn last year.
Yeah,
Thanks for that.
yeah, yeah. You could have done your part and done less.
You know, we tried. We certainly tried. Yeah, we were about average here, but yeah, you didn't have to go too far to find really good corn, which was kind of amazing. So.
So the picture on the homepage, there's five individuals.
Yes.
You got a nice little family going down there,
Yep.
and
Yep, 3 kids.
it's you said West Point,
West Point.
but it's in southeast Iowa.
Yep.
Wouldn't they?
East Point.
East Point.
We're
Sorry.
west
Maybe
of the
they were.
Mississippi.
Terrible
Yeah,
joke.
well, it's probably because they just came from Illinois.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, it's west. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the
Right.
furthest West Point we've been to yet.
Yeah.
Let's just put a stake in the ground and call
right.
it that.
Yep. Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm distracting you. This is like the old lady falling down thing. It's just with cuts of beef.
Gosh. We need a grill.
Look at that marbling.
We need a grill here.
We did. Oh, that was kind of neat. When we first got the studio almost-ish put together, I put my Blackstone out there, and Corey was grilling
nice.
hot dogs. Wasn't it just hot dogs?
Yeah.
We have hot
Hot
dogs
dogs.
too, by the way.
Is that a picanha? that triangle thing? Is that what that is?
It
No,
says
it's probably
primal
tri-tip.
cuts. So just
Oh,
do a
tri-tip. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Mm.
Boy.
All right. Quit distracting me.
We'll
What
send
are,
you,
all right.
We'll send you a care
We
package.
aren't
What
here.
are we here for?
aren't here to talk about meat today. I swear.
Right.
What are we here to talk about?
The farmer's greatest asset.
So
So,
what is that?
well, what do you think the farmer's greatest asset is?
I thought it was you saying that.
Right.
It's the
So-
Farm for Profit podcast.
Yeah.
Right.
Farmer's greatest
Well, to me, it's the farmer's mind.
Okay.
So it all come about because July 9th, 2023, I got caught in a trailer with fat cattle. So I fractured and dislocated a hip and a wrist, and probably ended up having some sort of head injury that was never diagnosed, but maybe it was always crazy. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so here I am laying in the University of Iowa hospitals in traction, and it happened on July 9th. When is your crop certification due?
Oh, right about that time.
July
Yep.
15th.
Yeah.
I was going to go on Monday, and I didn't.
Yeah.
So
That's
Laying
called
there-
procrastination.
I'm good at it.
I'm sure it was done by then, right?
I was ready to go.
Have you seen the meme of the display that's just empty holders and it says, "I'm sorry, our display for procrastination will be ready soon."
Yeah,
Please
right.
I haven't seen
have
that.
Right.
patience."
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, it was the Sunday actually. So it happened at our county fairs where it happened, and our FSA office is in the same town. So sale was Monday morning. I usually just go to the FSA office. Well, didn't get there, so I'm laying in the hospital, and my mom has to pick up all the maps, all the certification papers, and bring it to the hospital. I mean, I was pretty tore up. My hip was. So the hip trauma specialist at the University of Iowa said it was the worst hip he's ever seen.
Ooh, yeah, they don't ever want to hear that.
Right. And the hand specialist said it was not the worst because I didn't have bones sticking out. Said otherwise it probably was the second worst. So it was a pretty bad deal. So mom had to bring the papers up because Leah's, my wife, is sitting at my bedside, and we're trying to figure out crop certification. So then we get home. I mean, I was in the hospital for 5 days, had surgery, got home, but I literally had 2 loads of fat cattle that had to go. They were 1,700 pounds. I was going to get them sold, and I never did. And I know I got to call Larry. He's the cattle buyer. But nobody else knows who the hell Larry is, or who to call for that matter. So the idea of the farmer's greatest asset come about in that we need to document the farmer's mind. Because it's always just up here, right? You know where you're planting all your crops,
Right.
where you get your fertilizer, or who your cattle buyer is, or
Right.
my wife has no idea.
Or even if we have it on some program somewhere, the password to get into it.
Exactly.
Yeah, if something happened to my wife, I would lose access to almost all my passwords. Because I think
Right.
that's my password
Yeah.
keeper.
Right.
My wife keeps asking for the password to the gun safe, and I don't know if I want to give it to her.
Hide that one.
But that's where I keep all the
That's one
social.
that can stay
That's
locked.
where I keep the social security cards and birth
Yep,
certificates,
yep.
all that too. And she's like, "If you die, like I don't know how to get in there." I'm like, "I don't know if maybe I should put them somewhere else."
Well, you need the book. So the whole idea is this workbook, and it's going to have a list of contacts, a list of your passwords, So then we've created SOPs, standard operating procedures. So I had employees and really good guys, and my wife was around, and my son, and my dad's still around. But still, they had no idea what I wanted done. So if they would have had this book, they would have had some sort of idea what Jesse wanted to do. So,
Man, my mind's just running with all the things that could be put in there. Because, yeah, everything from, sometimes spouses don't even go with to the bank.
Right.
Sometimes they certainly don't go with on the tax planning meetings.
Right.
That depending upon what time of year something happens, there's so many things that
Right.
you just know I have to accomplish that by the end of the month when somebody else might not know.
right. And that's, so my wife she writes all the checks, right? She knows all the bills and the ins and outs, but, like you said, going to the bank, she just comes along and signs all the papers. I mean, I could put her in millions of dollars of debt and she has no idea. Right?
But the flip side, she writes all the checks, pays all the bills. What happens if something happens to her?
Right.
Now you got to do that.
Yep, absolutely. So it's about just documenting all that stuff so we all know what needs to happen. But then there's the whole aspect of your will. What if we both die? Is your estate planning done? All that kind of stuff, right? So we actually had a friend last year, 54 years old, heart attack. So then his two boys are left there trying to figure out the business, and at the time they said, yeah, I think we got it all figured out. Do they? I haven't pried, but it sounds like they don't.
Well, and even if they think they have it figured out, the lawyers and all that kind of stuff sometimes say something different, or all of a sudden there's another family member that was supposed to have some say in it. And
Right.
So
the idea is to spark a lot of conversation. And if nothing else, write it down in our workbook and start the process. To at least have something on paper and then spark the conversation of all these hard conversations that we need to have.
Yeah, because I assume you go beyond just the passwords and the phone numbers of the people that matter. There's probably things in there, kind of like what bowl you select out of your akahushi.
Right.
Akahushi, where you're storing your straws of semen, maybe where other things.
Right.
Is it going to go that extensive into the operation and documenting that?
Yes, we're trying. We have created essentially standard operating procedures, SOPs. At the moment, they're pretty vague and kind of covering, here's a row crop one, and here's a livestock one. And it's going to evolve to have something more specific to each, if you're a cow producer or a hog producer, stuff like that. But at the moment, it's pretty vague, but there's, standard operating procedures for where do you get your fertilizer, where do you get your seed, who's your agronomist, and trying to get down to the nitpicky. So there's really no question, right? And then it's going to sit on your shelf. It's nothing you're going to carry around with you every day, but it's at least something to fill out and have there on the shelf. And your wife, someday she'll have the code to the safe.
Yeah.
But it could be in the book.
Yeah.
Right?
So this is a physical book. It's not a piece of software on my phone or anything like that, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. It'll be a hard copy book.
Okay.
So is it like a journal?
No, not necessarily a journal. So we're calling it the workbook. So all your standard operating procedures. But along with that, we're going to have a keepsake. So passing on your legacy is kind of big for me as well. But your legacy is not just the land, it's the memories and the hardships that it took to get through and keep the land. So then there will be a planner as well. And that'll be, I'll have your typical planner layout, and it'll help you track your progress. And you can write down, 90-day goals, 6-month goals, year goals, and it try to help you plan ahead and track your progress. And then there also will be a journal. So after I got hurt, I didn't walk for 9 months.
Wow.
So journaling for me was huge. I could lay there in a chair and that was about it. I got tired of staring at the ceiling and four walls. You can only watch so many podcasts.
Yeah.
Or can you?
Nope. I would have suggested a quick bill of getting you back to good health would have been just farm for profit on repeat.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So journaling was big for me, and prayer, obviously. I've been a very faithful person, but so there'll be all these books that are available, but kind of the main thing is the workbook at the moment. But then we're also going to build a community, an online community, which is interesting. You just had Nina Sossaman on.
Oh,
Pogue?
yeah. A lot of great feedback from that episode, too.
I bet. I mean, I love that episode. And the thing I took away from it was, have a support group, right? And that's what we're building, an online support group. So, like I said, the journaling for me has been huge, and some great things just fall out of my pen when I'm journaling. And the support group kind of fell out of my pen, and it hit me. We've got your back. So if you spell out "we've got your back," we is well-being and health, E is education, G or got. What was the G? Man,
Remember
growth.
he said he had his
Growth.
head hit.
And then U, and then back. Balance for your life and work.
Yeah.
Advocacy. C, connection and support. And K, knowledge sharing. These are kind of all the things, our
Knowledge does
pillars.
start with K, doesn't it?
Not in Nebraska.
These are all the pillars that we're going to have part of our community.
Yeah.
Because it's hit too close to home. I had a good college friend, good high school friend. Actually, we lived together 2 years. Come home farming, and he took his life after farming for, I don't know, 5-6 years, whatever it was. But those things hit too close to home, and then my healing journey has brought me to this whole farmer's greatest asset. And we need, I don't care where you're from, whether you're in Iowa or Colorado or wherever farming, we all have our own struggles. Right now crop prices aren't great.
Mm-hmm.
So we're all struggling a little bit somewhere. But maybe we don't want to talk to our neighbors, or we don't want to look vulnerable, right? So you can come to our community and you got a support group, and there's no judgment, right?
So why build the book? Because you said you turned to journaling, and this book didn't exist. This workbook didn't exist when you started.
No. So I found the need for it after, we had the crop certification and then cattle to sell. So then it actually took another 6 months to hit me like, okay, we got to have this after a friend died. And then we ran into another gal. Her husband died, 54 years old. She had a daughter, and they're farming. And she's trying to figure it out. And she's like, I don't even know who the agronomist is or who the banker is. And it's like, okay.
Now, does she really not know? Weren't they all already knocking on her door? Isn't that how it goes?
I'm sure all of the farmers.
All the answers were provided right away.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'll bet. So, I mean, the need is out there just to document my mind, because it's always just in my mind. It's time to put it on paper. So,
But I could see having created something. You went through this process by yourself. You had to make it. You had your spiral notebook or whatever it was that you were using, blank pages. I assume you're designing this that'll help prompt, like, oh, I didn't even think of that.
right. We've actually put it together pretty quick, but we've been focusing, pretty hard on all of the nitpicking things that, you never think of. You can just do it, right?
So you're truly just building this. Like, it's not something that's been around all that long.
No.
'Cause, I mean, I'm not finding a website.
No, so hopefully when this podcast airs, our website's going to be live and the book's going to print here any minute. We're just waiting on copyright. So to my knowledge, there's no such thing.
This is fresh.
Do you know what the website's going to be?
TheFarmersGreatestAsset.com.
.com.
Yep.
just going to buy that domain real quick.
Too late. Too late.
Look at you, Mr. Opportunistic.
Right.
So the book's printing right now. What? Describe it. What does it look like? Is it a big book, small book?
Your
thick?
typical, 8.5 by 11 size
Hardcover?
paper, hardcover. So there's probably going to be like a leather cover. To be honest, we haven't got the proof back yet.
Yeah.
But I want it to look, nice, a nice hardcover, leather bound. Farmer's greatest asset on it, and maybe we'd like to get the printer to be able to, if you got Corey's Farms or whatever, get your brand on there.
Yeah, customize it a little bit.
Right. Have a customized book.
Okay. And then there's going to be obviously places in there that prompts you
Right.
to do your standard operating procedures.
So the whole SOP, it's just a list of questions. The whole book is more or less a list of questions. Contacts is obviously just try to fill in, go through your phone and put it all down on there. And we tried to list out service providers, who's your agronomist, where do you get your nitrogen from, where do you get your fertilizer from. So we tried to break up those sections and tried to make everybody think, who's your tire guy? I mean, I have a different tire guy for my tractor, for my semis, for my pickup. It's 3 different guys.
Yep.
So we tried to lay that out.
Okay. What happens when something changes down the road, 5 years down the road? Is there a place to edit that, or you just cross it out?
Well, so the idea is, I'm trying to dig it out here. I've got
It comes with a stick of whiteout.
Right. So, yes, either just cross it out and rewrite it. But part of the community, you'll have access to all the PDFs where you can print out a new page and slip it in your book. So
it'll be like a 3-ring binder type?
Well,
or?
this is just me putting everything together. So this is essentially the book.
I mean, that's over an inch thick of paper there. That's
Right.
a lot of...
You want to flip through it?
Yeah.
You can flip through it.
Absolutely.
Get to the part about profitability.
Don't listen to Jesse for marketing advice.
I applaud you for taking the time to kind of sit down and go, if I had something like this.
That's my mission statement.
Is this what you're going to stick with?
Absolutely. That's my
You
mission
want to
statement.
read his mission
Yeah,
statement?
I can get into that. I had a thought. Where was I going with my
You
thought?
applauded him.
Oh, right. Because, it takes a lot of personal wherewithal to understand that, hey, I could have done this better or didn't do this any better. One of the things we had a conversation from a potential partner of ours that said, we want to be the first company that they call when they need this. And I said, I think you could market it another way of every farmer needs this in case that happens. That's what this is. This isn't a wait till I have an accident and then let's make sure we put this into motion.
Absolutely. I absolutely believe every farm needs this book. Every farmer needs this book.
And that's where your mission statement comes in. At the farmer's greatest asset, which is not what Corey thinks it is, we believe that the heart of ag lies within the farmer. We are committed to supporting and empowering farmers by recognizing their greatest assets are not only the land that they cultivate and the animals that they nurture, but also the knowledge, experience, and well-being that they bring to their work. Our mission is to nurture the minds and health of farmers, providing them with the resources, education, and care that they need to thrive, both personally and professionally. By investing in farmers, we ensure that the future of agriculture remains resilient, productive, and grounded in the knowledge and vitality. That was well written. And I can see why you wanted me to read it and not you.
Well, yeah, I can't read very good. What is the login details, MN, login details, OPG?
So that's just to alphabetize it.
Oh, gotcha.
So if it's your John Deere, it's going to go in the J section.
Gotcha.
I mean,
I was gonna say, I need like a full page for one website just because how many times I have to change my password.
right. Yeah. So it has taken a lot of mind work for me to just grow and to come up with this whole idea.
What a cool exercise.
Well, it is, and what I like about it is a farmer can go, I could do that. I'm going to get to it. There's nothing like, you're not writing code. You're not, Elon Musk over here, sending rockets into space. You're just putting it down on what you need and making someone take action.
Right.
Because I can just
Literally.
hear our listeners right now. You mentioned, well, I got a different tire guy for my tractor and for my pickup. Who cares? On that level, right?
And you wanna-
can get your tire fixed if you look hard enough and you're resourceful enough.
Yeah.
You can get a tire fixed.
Sure.
But your cattle buyer or your vet or your banking information,
But
there's
that's
things
how
that is,
we wanted to dig down so much.
Yeah.
We go to who's your tire guy for each thing, you know?
Where have you guys been?
We just got back from the Custom Harvesters event where operators from across the country couldn't stop talking about Steinbauer performance modules.
Yeah, they're seeing up to 25% more power, better fuel efficiency, all with smarter injector duration and not altering the rail pressure for safe and reliable performance.
If you're looking to maximize your machine's potential, go to steinbauer.us and tell them Farm for Profit sent you to get yours today.
And you want to talk about profitability? If you don't have this in place or something like this or
Yeah.
a will or whatever, like it's not what you're going to profit. It's how much you're going to lose.
You're going to lose a lot in a hurry.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
there's your profitability.
Yeah, I was just joking. I figured there'd be a secret in there. Obviously.
Yeah, it says if you plant this hybrid here,
Uh-huh.
Buy seed from
guaranteed-
Corey,
yeah,
you'll do
guaranteed
better.
250 bushel. Yeah, no.
Oh, we're guarantees?
Guarantees, yeah. Now we're in the standard operating
Have
procedures.
you
Wow,
ever
this is-
thought? Have you ever? Let's see. How do I say this question? As you've been sharing your idea, what's the feedback that you've been getting?
Wow, that's awesome. I'm going to buy one. You know, I need that. You know, I didn't even think, you know, just to write that stuff down. It's just been overwhelming. Everybody's like, yeah, that's a great idea. Why didn't I think of that? Kind of.
Well, and we're thinking about the worst case scenario here. What about just a son or daughter coming back to the farm, right? Like
Right.
that's the first couple years coming back. It's just like figuring all this
Try
out.
to figure it all out.
They're not going to read it because they're a son or a daughter, right? And they know more than their parents. But like,
Right.
it's right here in the book.
I used to refer to it, I still kind of do, as my now what moment, right? Because that's kind of how it come about. Now what? I'm laying in a hospital bed. I can't walk. But it's so much more than that. The farmer's greatest asset has evolved into so much, and that I want to just help people. So we can go back, and I have background, and I went to school for sports medicine, athletic training, did my master's in sports psychology, then worked for an orthopedic implant company. I mean, so I've always wanted to help people. But you can't take the farmer out of the boy, right? Mm-hmm. So my job with the orthopedic implant company, I moved back home to farm. So I was done by noon every day, and I was out playing with big boy toys in the dirt again.
I mean, I need a job like that.
Right? So, and then I decided to go back farming full time. I love it too much.
I see what you're flipping through here. You've got spaces to write production reports.
Yeah.
Summaries of how a year went.
Right.
I love history to begin with, and it always fascinates me, like when you listen about explorers or those that were in battle, and the number of journals that are utilized to tell the story, to
Right.
map. One of my favorite shows to listen to. He's always looking for something that's lost in history, and I swear he's done like 45 episodes and he's never found a thing. So every episode ends the same, but I'm still hooked.
Right.
And he's reading through people's journals and the story of, okay, they sailed up this channel and then they docked here, or the ship was, in this direction, but it was all based upon personal notes.
Yep.
Right. Yep.
How cool would that be to be able to come back to a farm and, Corey's
50,
family,
100 years
my
from now.
parents, they both moved this year. So we've been going through things from past generations on our farms. It's newspaper clippings and you can kind of loosely weave it through, but my grandpa didn't have a journal.
No, and my grandparents are still alive right now on my dad's side, but my parents moved into their house, and we're going through a lot of their stuff and coming across some of Grandpa's handwritten receipts on what he paid for a lamb or a hog or something like that. Some of that's the coolest stuff, but
Yeah.
there's no organization to it. Like you come across it, like that's cool.
Right.
But if it would have been in like something like this, you could
Right.
put the whole story together. Like
Yep.
God, that'd be cool.
That's the idea, is preserve the legacy, pass it on, but then teach it. So the standard operating procedures, right? For my kids, for my employees, this is how I want everything to operate if I'm not around, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I had another thought too of, okay, so this could be helpful to a kid coming back to the farm.
Right.
I sometimes feel bad because I know I've asked the question and I know I've gotten the answer and I don't remember what they said. If I had a copy of this, I could at least flip back to the, okay, who is my cattle buyer, or what is that contact information? If I can't find it, maybe I don't have to bother dad or mom or grandpa, and I can go look it up. I don't know if I ever will,
Right.
but certainly.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're flipping through there. You can see, like, I tried to create field reports. I think we put 40 field reports in there. So you can kind of detail, well, this farm is river bottom ground, so I choose this seed for it, and I put this X amount of fertilizer on it, I tried to drill down so it can just get passed on.
Yep.
Yeah.
And some of these in here you even got like this is the form of nitrogen I use. Right? Like you're really taking a lot of the guesswork out of it. I'm talking to this retailer, and we know as well as anybody else, like you could probably use a different form of nitrogen or something down the road, but at least they know right away, like everything's going to run the way it was, and now if we want to deviate from that path, they can make their own decisions on why.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of point towards my son. He's 17 now. So when I got hurt, he was 15, and he stepped up to the plate, but he still didn't know everything. So I've actually had him flip through it. And he's kind of be like, okay, Dad, what about this? But so I guess what I'm saying is the silver lining of everything is I had to teach him. Also, this book come out of it. I literally couldn't walk. So we were going into fall. And he's like, all right, Dad, I guess I'm running the combine. And we actually put a lift on it so I can get up there. And I got in there. Once I was there, I didn't move for the day. I mean, I didn't drink any water, nothing,
Yeah.
But I had to teach him. So then he's already learned at 17 half of my brain. But now the rest of it's going to be in the book.
I bet he is going to benefit greatly from that. Just having you there, even though you couldn't walk, but like being forced to learn it.
Right. You don't normally, you know how it is. You're going out to the combine. I'm going to grease it. I'm going to change the sickle sections. I can just do it faster than anybody else.
Yep.
Even my employees. I'm like, I'll just do it myself. Well, I couldn't because it was my left hand was jacked up. I couldn't use my left hand. So how do you change sickle sections without a hand underneath?
Yeah.
So I had to literally sit there and teach him. I had a walker. I'd pull my pickup up right in front of the bean head. Be like, well, that's what you do. And then we'd get my walker out and I'd stumble across over to the lift and go up there.
How frustrating is that too? Because you know that if you had full functionality, you'd be able to do it way faster. But you got to sit there and you got to watch.
It's humbling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hard. Even with stuff with the podcast, I'm like, I can just do this faster if I do it by myself.
Right.
But
It's humbling.
Maybe I should make Corey do more.
Right.
So what you said it's coming out soon. What kind of time frame here?
Like I said, we're waiting on copyright. So that's kind of the biggest holdup, and then print. But the website will be live and we'll be able to do pre-order as soon as the podcast comes out. Right. So we can pre-order, as soon as this podcast is out. Should be printing, I'm going to say mid-May just to be conservative. So.
Okay. Do we have a price point in mind, or still figuring that out?
We're still figuring that out, but we're leaning towards $150 for the workbook. So, but again, that kind of depends on print cost and shipping, and
I mean, even to say it was $200. I mean, there's not a lot of things you can buy on the farm that could possibly
$150 is pretty
save
cheap
a lot
anymore.
Yeah, it's
for a peace of mind.
I mean, shoot, you can't even go fill up a diesel pickup for that much. If you got a big tank.
Right.
So.
Right. What's your mind worth? Because it's all right there in that book.
Yeah. Filled out, this is probably worth millions.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's pretty good ROI.
I think so.
Yeah.
Could you imagine one of these coming across a retirement or an estate auction?
Yeah, you get to buy the neighbor's secrets.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, literally.
Yeah,
that's
where's
where I was
Dave at? He
going
can
with
That's
it.
start-
how much they paid for that. Dang.
He always was using chicken litter.
I mean, literally, if it crap hits the fan, you could just, well, I guess I'll just go sell my mind. Like at the
Yeah,
at
right.
the end of it, you sell the ground
Right.
and sell the book.
Right?
That's cool.
Very cool.
So if they do want to go look it up, remind us what that website's going to be again.
thefarmersgreatestasset.com. And then obviously all the socials,
Yep.
they're all out there.
I mean, I hate to push you any further because obviously you still got to get this printed, but I see a lot of other opportunities that could spur from this. So you guys got things in mind for that?
Oh yeah, like I said, there's the keepsake book
Yeah.
for all the memories. So we started off with this book, and it was going to be the Bible, literally,
Yep.
for the farmer. We've broken it up because I think this is probably the most important part. So then the keepsake will be available, and then there's going to be the journal. Like I said, that was huge for me in my healing journey. So the journal will probably have QR codes on each page, and then you just scan that QR code, and it'll take you to a prompt. If you can't sit down with a journal and think, what's going on today, there's going to be a prompt, whether it's a Bible verse or something I come up with or some quote that I like, just to spur you to journal that day. Because journaling for me, I either start or end every journal entry with, thank you, Lord, for the blessings that you've given me. And that right there just puts me in a good mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Start looking for the good in everything. That was a beautiful sunrise.
Mm-hmm.
So there'll be the keepsake, the journal, which to me is the workbook and the journal to me are very important. But then the keepsake was for all the memories, and then a planner. And then the big thing is going to be the community. You buy into the community for the support. So there can be one-on-one coaching. There'll be courses that you can have access. You'll have access to the PDFs. So if you want to change out the SOP or a field report, you could download a PDF and slip it in your book.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm. My mind already went to it'd be cool to be able to give our listeners some, and we got to think through a plan. I was like an Oprah Winfrey. You get a gift, and you get a gift, and you get a.
You get a car.
Look under your chair.
You get a Wagyu steak.
Oh no! You get one. We gotta get that first. Might pull back up the cuts for you.
Oh man.
We will send you guys a care package. Dave doesn't get one because he wasn't here.
Yeah.
but-
Yeah. Him and his white pants.
I did see that. Is he still here?
He's over there.
Well, he sold $9 million worth of farmland today, so
Almost 10.
got to wear white pants.
Land is still high, huh?
Yeah. Well, he had 635 acres to sell, so.
Wow.
No, Jesse, appreciate you coming in. Appreciate you putting the effort towards a project like this for something that maybe our listeners didn't know they needed until you realized that you needed it.
Nobody knows they need it, but I think everybody
Yeah.
has to have one.
Just wait until you find yourself in that now what moment,
Right.
sitting in the hospital or in that cattle trailer or in a car wreck or, whatever.
Right.
Or don't wait for that.
Don't wait for
Yeah,
it.
don't wait for that.
So this whole thing kind of started about a year ago. I gave a presentation at a conference and had nothing to do with anything like this. I'm like, you know what? I have the microphone. Y'all are going to listen to me for the last 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Go home and hug your kids. Tell your wife I love you. And it's just kind of evolved from there. Because everybody's clock is ticking. And we have no idea when it's going to end.
Right.
Yep.
Could be too soon. I hope not.
Yeah.
But
We also appreciate you coming over here because I don't think this conversation would have been the same if we were doing it virtually over the session. So
Right.
I think there's a lot of value to that.
yeah, no, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It was great.
Was it your cattle in the trailer?
It was. Yeah, so it was actually at our open show. I'm on the Lee County Cattlemen's Board. We put on an open show at our county fair every year. And I thought, I'll take some to the fair. And went home, loaded them up. I was just going to take 3. So you do a pen of 3. Well, 4 of them walked by. I was like, well, that was pretty easy. I just slammed the door shut and took off. So then I have 3 sections in the trailer. And I thought, well, I've got 4 on there. I'll put 3 of them in Henry's name. That's my son, because we do a pen of 3. And that 4th one, I'll just throw in my daughter's name. So I thought, I'll get in there and I'll sort one off and sort them here. Well, they all tried coming through that door at the same time.
Wow.
And that door pinned me. So, yeah, it was quite the fair that year.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Did you get to eat them at least?
Well, they go to slaughter after that, so somebody got to eat them.
Yeah.
Somebody enjoyed a Wagyu steak.
I mean, I take out my frustration after a bad day of pigs by, getting a pork chop and
Right.
making sure that I enjoy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, making sure I remember why I do
Right.
it.
Yeah. What do they say?
So-
We eat them for a reason.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, that's good. I don't have anything else left as far as that goes. Again, thank you so much. Listeners, we appreciate you every single time. Our suggestion for this episode is put something into action. If you don't think it's you, maybe you get this for somebody else.
It'd be a great
Ultimately,
gift.
I think
Yeah.
everybody needs one.
I mean, if you don't know if you're a kid coming back to the farm, you don't know what to get your parents for Christmas or their
Right.
birthday, boom.
Easy.
Yeah, this is real easy.
It'll spark a lot of good conversations, if nothing else.
Yep. Great. Well, listeners, until next time, have a good one.